Starfleet Underground. Every week, we'll take a look at the latest Star Trek news and then check out a current or classic episode of Star Trek. This week, creating supernovas that, kill everyone is kind of a bad idea. Being snarky is outlawed, and you better bring me some ice cream. It's so hard to say goodbye when an evil AI is coming to kill you. And special guest Todd Stashwick from 12 Monkeys has been beamed aboard and is standing by.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending upon what time you're listening to us. This is Starfleet Underground, and we managed to do something today, which we're amazed that we're able to slingshot and pick them up, but we're not going to introduce them just yet. We're going to save the best for last. So I'm going to sit here and take a sip of my coffee because it's been really...
Wait! No, Captain, stop. Don't drink it.
What'd you do?
Whatever you do, don't drink the coffee.
What?
I mixed it up. I gave you my paint water. I was painting.
Again?
Yes, again. And I have your coffee here, but now that's my new paint water.
Okay.
We're going to have to synthesize you some new coffee.
No, I think that we're going to do, because last time it was time crystals. The other time it was magic mushrooms. And
by the way, just so people know, when you eat time crystals, it takes a week to shit out. It's the time crystal thing. So I'm just getting over the time effects right now.
Or you shit them out the week before.
Boom.
Wild. I know a few things about time travel.
Yes, in fact, you do, don't you?
We're okay. Well, unfortunately, after this last episode, I think that we need to have you learn from this. So from now on, you're going to, starting next week, you're going to give the summary to the episods.
Wait, you're
going to have to start.
Me?
I wouldn't call it a punishment. I would call it a recorrection.
So
we're going to have to do that. And everybody knows this is Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather. I'm the science officer. I'm the one that gets in trouble for messing up the captain's coffee.
And I'm saving the best for last. So we're still going to be wondering who our guest is. We're going to get to the gentleman in a moment. We have also Patrick.
Hello, I'm number one. I'm also your computer guy. Welcome to the...
And you're also going to be my coffee bearer now.
Oh, man.
So, and then we have...
Like I don't do enough for you already. Okay.
Yep. You got to get the coffee. You got to get the coffee.
Secrets. And then we also have Rocky.
I just want to say that shade of brown on your lips is just amazing. Whatever is in that coffee, it's perfect for you.
Yeah, I'm not pleased by that, but that's okay. And last but not least, I can't tell you how thrilling it is for the cloaking to work, for us actually to make it over where this person is and to snag him. And he wasn't upset. We have the Todd Stashwick as our guest.
Hi, everybody.
So, okay, because I'm a huge fan. So, we let you tell you about yourself, or I could just ramble on about your film career from the 70s, from the 90s, from the 90s.
I was a child actor.
From the 90s, your comic book.
Devil Inside. Wow. Let's see. It all began on an October day in 1968. Let's see, what do you want to know? I'm an actor, I'm a writer, I'm a gamer, I'm a comic book nerd. I have worked on television and film, and I don't know. I like to play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons, and I have 2 kids and a lovely marriage of 23 years.
Wow.
I live in Los Angeles. I'm a vegetarian. I don't know. What else?
What is your connection to Star Trek? Who have you been on?
I played Talok on Enterprise, and that was in the Kir'Shara episode, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it might have been more than one episode. I'm not sure. It gets blurry, my friends. The claim to fame is if you watch the shows chronologically in terms of timeline, I'm technically the first Romulan ever revealed.
Ooh.
Yeah.
also, if you watch 12 Monkeys, he is also Deacon.
I am the
person. Oh my God. The only person that went into a room of 10 people and whipped their ass.
It was all three. It was three, but they were bigger than me.
Yes. Creative license.
And my hands were bound. And somehow I said, that's the thing about Deacon is he often gets beat down, but he's never out. He's a tough mofo. He rises and with a vengeance. It was probably the best part I've ever had. It was 4 seasons of kind of an amazing science fiction show. It's all bingeable on Hulu. It was just one of those shows where the writing was so good. I would have watched it even if I wasn't on it. Sort of lives in that Battlestar pocket, but it's very funny. It's very genre bendy. Sometimes it's horror, sometimes it's comedy, sometimes it's just hard sci-fi, sometimes it's espionage. Lots of pop culture references. It's just a delicious, twisty, turny. The mythology is incredibly thought out and carefully plotted. I sing the praises of this show, not because I was on it, but because great sci-fi is hard to come by, and it is indeed that.
Indeed.
The listeners out there, if you've never watched 12 Monkeys, it's out for you to binge. It's on Hulu, so you got to see it on Hulu.
Unless you're overseas. If you're overseas, then it's, I believe it's Netflix. You can also buy it on Blu-ray and whatnot. But it's a very bingeable show.
Definitely.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, you got to watch it.
It's real intelligent sci-fi. It's really good.
And it's really funny. Plus, you get to see me naked, so come on.
There's that.
Wait a minute, I missed that part. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it now.
The character is hammered. He's drunk as a skunk, but naked nonetheless.
How do you think he beat up a bunch of people with his hands tied?
Yeah, like a drunken master.
There you go.
No, he was referring to your. Never mind.
Oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I will say.
Beat him with your member.
So the one thing I will say, and we've talked about this on previous shows, and we ran down actors. And to me, there's not a large list of people who can be dangerous as well as do comedy. Because you're on the Real O'Neills, you do comedy, and your comedic timing, I think, is really awesome.
That's very kind of you to say.
But then you get on 12 Monkeys, and then you're a dangerous motherfucker.
They let me be funny on 12 Monkeys, too. It's funny, because my background, I'm a Second City, Chicago guy.
Oh, cool.
Oh, that explains
it. My goals coming up, when I was a young boy, a dreamin' in the Midwest, when I was Kermit sitting on the log, I dreamed of being Bill Murray in Ghostbusters. That's what I wanted to be. And so I sort of set my trajectory through theater school and whatnot to go to Second City because I wanted to be on Saturday Night Live. And so I went through the program and was a performer with Second City in Chicago and Improv Olympic. And then I was brought out. They flew me out to New York in 95 to audition for Saturday Night Live in 95. And I did not book it, but it was enough to say it's time to leave Chicago and fish in a bigger pond. Mm-hmm. But so when I came out to Los Angeles, I came out just because I wanted to do Will and Grace or do a half-hour sitcom. In fact, I had done a half-hour sitcom with Maria Patillo and Ari Gross and Jeremy Piven and Jamie Gertz. And that's sort of what was the catalyst to getting me to move from New York. But one of the first jobs that I booked when I was out here was Angel, and I was a demon.
What? You were on Angel?
Yeah, I was the demon Voka. I raised Darla.
What?
And so that started this really interesting track of my career where I was playing villains in sci-fi fantasy, action, and cop dramas. And at the same time, the other side of my career was pursuing half-hour sitcoms. And I did Dharma and Greg and Will and Grace. And I did almost as many half-hour sitcoms as I did How I Met Your Mother, as I did cop dramas and sci-fi shows. And what the interesting thing is I probably, as a boy, consumed a lot more sci-fi because I came up, my first introductions were probably the Planet of the Apes TV series when I was little and Adam West Batman. And so those two things really started me down a path. And then I watched 8 years old. I saw Star Wars and that changed everything. My first action figures were the Mego, Kirk, Spock and McCoy and a Klingon. Those were given to me by my cousin Tori, who also introduced me to Dungeons and Dragons. So he was a cool dude who loomed large in my legend. And so I was very much a Trek kid playing with my action figures in the early 70s, and then Star Wars hit, and I very much became a Star Wars kid. So a lot of my consumption and dreaming were that of science fiction and fantasy, and The Hobbit and all of that. But I also had this deep love of Saturday Night Live and comedy, so I pursued that just as hard.
But that explains how you're so versatile in those roles. I mean, Dracula on Supernatural, hello?
It was also kind of funny.
Yeah, but it was really cool.
What do you enjoy more? Do you enjoy playing the villain more, or do you enjoy playing the more benign roles?
You know, they're completely different pursuits. That's like, I love Indian food, I love Mexican food, I love Italian food. Like, and all for different reasons. There's like a mental gymnastics that you do when you're doing comedy, because there's a lot of math and hitting the rhythm of something and finding the inherent joke and the spin on the line. And so there's a lot of that Shakespeare folio work where you're really breaking down the timing of the dialogue and the moment, and then having the character thoughts underneath all that. And then drama, it has its own, it's not like mental gymnastics, but it's often emotional gymnastics. Mm-hmm. So having to do, scenes where you are having an emotional breakdown, or having to mow down a bunch of people, or confront somebody and be fragile about your emotions and that you're in love with them. Those things also have their draws. So I don't know if I ever want to have to pick. I mean, I was fortunate to get a chance to play Draken in the live action Kim Possible, and that was a bit of a marriage of playing a villain and playing big, broad comedy.
Did comedy come naturally for you, or was it something that you had to study?
Yeah, well, I think it's something that came naturally that I then went and studied. So it was like, I was not an athletic kid. I was a D&D kid. I was a Star Wars kid. I was a Star Trek kid. I was a comic book kid, and I was not very athletic. And I was 4'11" when I entered high school.
Oh, Lord.
I was not, I did not get to my towering 6'2" until like my sophomore year of college. So I was a little kid, I was a nerdy kid, but so my way to socialize was a comedy, and I noticed it got attention from the ladies. I was able to be funny, and I was able to connect with people in a way through comedy and impressions and quoting movies. Like Freaks and Geeks, I was the geeks. But I also managed to not be like, I wasn't the cliche, you get your sand kicked in your face geek. I was able to maneuver a little more interestingly through teenage years because of comedy and theater. And then I went on to study it at Second City and in college.
So in that case, in high school, do you have a story where maybe you used humor to, say, get out of a fight or something like that?
You know what? I'm a diplomat. I never got in situations that, like, for me, like a fight has to cross certain boundaries before it comes to that. I was able to fly under the radar of conflict, that I never was really in a situation. Like, I can think of 2 times in my life that I've had bullying behavior foisted upon me, but I was blessed and that I was able to de-escalate anything, because I think anybody that might have been a bully to me, I was already getting on with through comedy or through some topic of conversation that I found in common. I was able to get along with many quote unquote cliques in different ones. I was not really in one, even in the theater company, like the theater department. I sort of floated, like I dated cheerleaders, like I knew all the athletes and I was friends with all of them. And then I was friends with all of the guys that I guess you would call the freaks. And I enjoyed them and listened to a lot of the same bands. I listened to a lot of like Styx and Kansas, and I loved all that arena rock as a kid. But then as I got older, I started getting into the more art rocky, The Cure and the Smiths and whatnot. And so I was pretty nimble at, which maybe is why I became an actor, because I could kind of
jump around.
Yeah, and it wasn't disingenuous, and it wasn't like a quote-unquote survival technique. I just enjoyed such a wide swath of humanity and I could see I never said that guy is that or that girl is that, so therefore I would box them out. I guess I had a propensity for empathy early on and can go see if somebody was misunderstood or see like, oh, that's just bravado and there's actually a vulnerable guy under there. And so I was able to kind of navigate high school in a very positive way, which is not a lot of people's experience, and I'm sympathetic to that. But my experience was a very positive one, and it probably did nurture my ability to live in the skin of other people.
Well, it shows.
Cool.
Outstanding. You know, one day we're going to have you back and just have a whole show dig in your brain and get your experience on this.
Oh, you don't want to go there.
Oh, yeah, we do. We're going to have to get ready to step in onto our show here that went through. It was a really impactful 2 hours for Star Trek Discovery.
I did get a chance to rewatch them last night.
Yes.
It was, thank you. Wasn't it amazing?
I mean, I don't know how they, like, I'm a writer. I don't know how you write that.
Right.
It was really done well. For those that need a refresher on it, the title was Such Sweet Sorrow, parts 1 and 2, is that the Discovery's crucial mission does not go according to plan. And then Burnham realizes something that ultimately has to be done. And they start with a battle which sets up to be like it's going to be insurmountable. And then the second part, which we're going to be discussing, is that this Discovery is battling against control in a fight for their present and their future with the help from some unexpected friends that popped in, and Spock and Burnham discover some connections from the red signal. Now, starting off, we knew that with the connection that the mind meld they had, we saw that Sarek knew that Michael was in trouble. I mean, talk about a father's intuition, right?
Well, their Katras were from the mind meld, they had their Katras were connected, so that's how he knew.
Now, this, I think, was a first. Has anybody ever seen docking like that between starships before?
No, that was so cool.
It was very unique. You don't see that in Star Trek ever.
I love seeing that.
The little, like, extendo ruler bridges.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then the force field comes up and all of a sudden you got a walkway. That's so freaking cool.
I mean, I would have thought they would have just transported everyone across or, take shuttle pods or something.
You're talking like thousands of people, though, right?
Yeah, that was more practical.
But when you realize you get so many people dispersed over such a big ship, you kind of have to get that many pathways just to get everyone to flow. Otherwise, you'll all be stuck in the transporter hallway.
Yeah.
Or they wouldn't have to be able to use the cargo transporters.
And who says they didn't? Maybe they split the difference.
Yeah.
It's possible, because they definitely had a lot of them.
If you guys were put in that situation, what 2 items would you guys take with you?
Oh, that was pretty cool. My coffee mug, provided you didn't touch it.
Oh. Of course not, Captain.
Some Romulan ale.
And I have a Tanto blade that I've had with me ever since I joined the Marines. That's gone with me through thick and thin everywhere. And that's an item I probably would never leave behind. So even if there was like a house fire, I would grab that blade. That's how much of that blade is a part of me. So that would probably be the 2 things. Kind of like what Saru did. He grabbed his thing that cuts off his ambulance.
It was Serana's blade. Okay, so when Georgiou comes on the ship, I love her line when she walks onto the bridge. She's like, "Orange, really? Ugh."
She's a phenomenal actress. I love her.
She has the best one-lines in the whole freaking show. Ever. Yeah. I mean, with Georgiou, you know what you're getting. She's always straightforward. There's no deceit behind anything that she does. She will tell you to your face, this is why I'm doing this. And, but literally, I mean, I wrote down so many one-liners that she had. She just was like on top of it.
Well, there's so much honesty in what she says, even though she's from an alternate universe. I mean, she has a different mentality, a different approach to this universe, but she's still honest about it. I love that.
Yeah, I mean, she's an audience surrogate often, and again, those are the kinds of roles that I often play, where she says what a lot of people are thinking.
Yeah.
And the line that stood out for me from the first part of this, like you said, Pat, there's so many great lines, but it's like we don't know if we have the strength until the moment comes. And that's so true. You can sit and tell yourself over and over again. I've seen people in combat will say like, oh yeah, when the bullets fly, I'm going to be this, I'm going to be that. And then round comes down range and they're pissing and crying. And you get the guy who turns around, who looks like Mousy, and then all of a sudden he turns into Superman. He's like, screw this shit. He's out there. You know,
Steve
so
Rogers,
you don't know. Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Indeed.
And one of the things I really, really, really love is, you know how Discovery had its own ambient noise. Yeah. But when we were on the Enterprise, it was all fucking
My Pip kept thinking someone was at the door and she would bark, and then I kept thinking someone was at the door, and then we'd go out to the patio to see if anyone. And then I finally got used to the noise.
I like the fact that your doorbell sounds like the Enterprise.
The alarm on my phone is a communicator's sound, so...
Yeah. Oh, cool.
That's cool.
Yeah, I'm old school. Mine just says black alert, which really freaks out people if they've never seen the show. So.
I remember going to the conventions and you hear everybody's cell phone make a noise once in a while, and it's any kind of Star Trek sound you've ever heard before, and just randomly out of multiple areas of the crowd, you just like, oh, there's a sound effect over there. There's one over there.
My ringtone at one point was the TARDIS.
Oh, cool.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, it was fun.
That is so cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
So who here thought that Michael could get the crystal into the container without touching it?
Yeah, I knew she was going to touch it because
she was going to touch it.
Yeah, it's like, don't touch the thing. She's like Kirk in that respect. Don't do the thing. I'm going to do the thing.
Yeah.
I love that there's a moment of, am I going to touch it? Am I going to? Yeah, I'm touching it.
It's like,
do you want to know or not know? But yeah, she wants to know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that whole thing. Oh, and then I love how they kind of tie everything together, from people who complained why the Enterprise didn't have all the cool stuff that Discovery did, and why when a number one turned around and said, like, yeah, no more holographic communications, we ripped all that shit out.
Yeah, no more holograms ever. It's just like, whoa.
They did a pretty good job explaining the connection or the differences between what we're seeing now versus the 60s shows, and I like how they're doing that.
Right, and it explains why we never heard about, Michael, Burnham, or Discovery, in
because you
TOS.
can never talk about this again.
Right, so they do wrap everything up really nicely so that it flows into the canon of TOS.
Yeah.
And this is not Kelvin, right?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to ask you this there, Todd, from your experience on that as person, as everyone else. When she touched that crystal and she had the vision of Leland coming onto the bridge, how can you watch, like, everybody you love die, knowing that that's going to be an outcome, which she assumed it was because he touched the crystal?
Well, if we... So several things. Did she know at that point that she had set the beacons?
No, she didn't. She
just touched the crystal. And
so she didn't know at that point. Because I was going to say is, at a certain point, when she realizes that she's the one who set the beacons, you know that she's successful.
Right. That makes sense.
But until then, when she first touched it, I mean, imagine you seeing like everybody.
But sure, but that's also her training. It's like, the same with that's Tony Stark. It's like,
good point.
Even though an outcome may be
bad for you.
That's and you're a military man. Going into any situation that it could go south at any time. And so, but it doesn't mean you give up or surrender. You still have to proceed with the plan. He is the enemy. He is coming for you. This is something that could happen. So it's always looming there. The fact that she saw it in stark relief in a vision doesn't make it any more of a truth to her.
One thing I noticed in this episode is that the ideals of Starfleet were upheld time and again by Michael doing what she needed to do, regardless of what she thought the outcome was going to be. Pike doing what he needed to do, regardless of, the outcome that he knows is going to happen. The Admiral sacrificing herself for the greater good. So there was a lot of self-sacrifice and doing the right thing despite,
potential negative outcomes.
Yeah, needs of the many.
Yes.
They absolutely mirrored that scene, didn't they?
Yeah. Well, you get the professionalism that's set up. I mean, you have people, you can tell when you have pilots and the plane's going down, you hear their voices on the black box. When you have people calling in orders in the field when they're being surrounded, you hear the professionalism. Even though everything is going crazy, they're not screaming and running with like their heads are being cut off. They're still, their voice may be a little bit more terse, but they're still a professional. And that's when I really loved it.
Well, and it's true of anything. You can never play an outcome. You can only do what's in front of you.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And she had one job right then to do. And so she was continuing with that pursuit.
And so at that point, then we get to the next Red Angel notification when they end up at Zahia. And Tilly flips out.
Yeah, because, I love how they tie the shorts in.
Yeah.
Because that was short. I mean, Poe was in the short. Mm-hmm. That was a great tie-in to bring Poe back.
I love that they brought her back. And the first time I saw this, I didn't realize that she was in the short tracks. And I'm like, oh my God, I must have missed an episode. And I went back and I watched it again. And I was like, I don't know where I missed this from. But I really liked how Poe didn't take shit from anyone. And it's an actual law, by the way.
Yeah, she goes, I don't have to listen to any snark. I made it an actual law. And then she hands Georgiou the ice cream bowl. Yeah. She's just like, she's like, here, bitch.
Yeah.
Is that character, do you think she's going to become a regular in the Pike series?
I hope so.
She might.
So. I thought she was going to go with the Discovery because just having her and Tilly on the same ship. Tilly, by the way, is my daughter's name.
Cool.
Having her and Tilly on the same ship, that chemistry is just explosively wonderful.
Mm-hmm. Right.
That I would have thought, if I was a producer, I would have kept those two together, unless the Enterprise is going to need that kind of energy.
True.
With the Pike and Spock series. So she might be the Tilly on that ship.
That's a really good point.
I would love to see her again. I mean, I would be like, just blink at me. Blink again.
Yeah, she's an expensive character to have on the ship.
Yes.
I just like that they bring her ice cream right off the bat. I mean, I want to be greeted like that. That's the kind of royalty I want to be.
Right.
Yeah. Great.
Even though I like the fact that the writing is done so well, because even with all the madness is going around, things are going crazy. You and Stamets still had their little kind of reunion, their relationship healing in that moment. I mean, that was really touching.
But you have the beginning of the first, the whole first half. The goodbyes in this episode. There's so many goodbyes, and Stamets and Hugh, they had
their separate ways.
Oh my God, that was painful, and it was beautiful to see them come back. Even though it was under a lot of duress in the second half, it was nice to see that reunion for them.
It literally, the goodbyes that people were doing, I was literally in tears, and then the whole Hugh and Stamets thing, just it broke me.
Beautiful.
It's a one-way trip. I remember like the first time I took mescaline, the person said the same thing that they said, trust the mystery.
We don't need your drug trips,
I was a young lad back then. But, even her parents came, they say goodbye. Like you said, it was a tearjerker.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's like, again, people, they said one of the mugs they had is like with the hardest job in the military is being the spouse of someone who is in the military. Because you have to accept that moment that they may not. And all the goodbye letters home.
Mm-hmm. Well, what was difficult, what I thought was the most human thing, one of the most human moments was Sarek asking for forgiveness.
I know.
I mean, that was, especially for a Vulcan, that to me was very, it was him acknowledging the emotional side of himself, which obviously, he doesn't show, but, it was really touching.
Yeah. And another thing that I really like too is number one, when they're in the meeting together and number one is saying, we need a supernova, there's no wrong answers. Let's brainstorm. Come on. What do you have? And Georgiou's solution is like, oh, hey, let's cause a supernova by firing into the sun. And Saru's like, that will kill all of life for light years. And she's like, yeah. And then everyone's like, that's a bad idea. And she's like, I thought there were no bad ideas. No, that's a bad idea.
That's a lie. That was a bad idea.
Yeah, that's a bad idea.
Yeah, sorry. No, bad idea.
That was funny.
It would work, but bad idea.
They do literally like when she tells Pike, it's like, I'm from the mirror universe. And he's like, what mirror universe? And he winks.
Yeah. Oh, yes. The wink was great. It was like, uh-huh.
Oh, my.
Like she's trying to shock him into, like, I'm from somewhere you don't know about. And he's like, oh, please.
Mm-hmm.
It's like he knew right off from the bat, if you guys remember.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, something's different about her.
Yeah. His wink was good. He did the wink very well. Now, if I was trying to do a wink, it would look like I'm having a seizure or a twitch or I'm spasming or something. It just doesn't work.
The EMH would come out. Medical emergency.
Usually, no, if I wink, usually someone's like, is something wrong? Are you okay?
You got a twitch.
Yeah.
Well, before Pike leaves the ship, they all do that salute to him where they stand at attention with their arms.
That was gorgeous.
That was so powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, that
really
simple moment, and they did it for Michael too. It says a whole lot without having to say anything.
True.
Yeah.
It's a great way to do it.
And what a hell of an ending for the first part is that you get all those ships surrounding you. Talk about a last stand. It's like, holy crap.
That's great.
What the hell? And then Pike's just like, this is Starfleet. Get it done.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
so good.
During that section, when he was giving all of those inspiring words and speeches, and every person had something really just awesome to say about them. I love the part when he gets to Spock and he's just like, there aren't words.
Mm-hmm. Well, they share such a rich history together already, so which hopefully
but nothing
will be
inspiring, nothing like that. Just like I can't even. I can't even.
Yeah.
And then we get Georgiou to pop up and say again something that her tone isn't funny, but it is when Leland does his speech and she goes, "Congratulations! Everybody hates you. Congratulations."
I love that.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
It's like, oh my God. And I don't even want to think about production costs when the Section 31 ship pop up all those mosquitoes.
Ugh,
right?
Pretty stunning.
It was a swarm of gnats, man.
The effects on this stuff, oh man. I mean, at first you're looking at it going like, there are so many fucking ships and pieces floating around in this sucker. But you look at it again, like from the animator point of view, and like, holy cow, these guys were nuts making this. This looks awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the shots, the one that stood out to me is when Burnham's in the suit and she swoops right over the saucer section of the Enterprise. Yeah, shots like that, just like. That
was wild.
Guys must have been winning awards all over the place in the effects department.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was feature level event, those 2 episodes.
Oh my!
I don't know how they pulled it off. I mean, the amount of cuts and edits and how many pieces that they had to shoot and to make this show, it's got to be just a monumental task.
Yeah, I was thinking that myself when I watched it, and just like how intense.
And a massive cast.
Yeah.
So many people on the show. And they took the time writing wise, like you were saying, they jumped between at least 5 different storylines. And give everybody their little like cupcake of a moment. And I just don't know what their whiteboard looked like.
Imagine trying to write that out.
They probably had a lot of them.
Well, I mean, it's Byzantine,
What is the engineer? Oh my God, I'm blanking on her name, and I think that's because of the lack of coffee.
Jett Reno?
Jett Reno. What's her character's name? Because I've had paint water instead of coffee. But what's Jett Reno's?
Jett Reno that's the character's name.
That's the character's name. You're thinking about Tig.
Tig Notaro plays her.
Oh, Reno. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love the fact where she's insubordinate and she's like, get off my ass. And then she thinks second about it. She goes, oh, get off my ass, sir.
Yes.
So she is just such a welcome addition to that cast.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And again, a truth sayer. So she went to the Discovery, yes?
Yeah.
So she's now part of that crew.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I love that fact.
Yes.
I love how her and Stamets play off each other.
So good.
Well, I'm really appreciative of this show in the fact that they actually have real gay and lesbian actors
100%.
playing gay and lesbian characters, and that they're not just a one-off kind of, moment where they're like, oh, well, there's the gay character, push him off to the side. They got really meaty storylines and there's depth to the characters.
They give them just as much credence as any of the other relationships on the show.
They're all part of the family. I mean, they really are.
It's stunning.
Yeah.
I've had the good fortune of knowing Doug Jones for years.
Oh, he's amazing.
And he deserves an Emmy for the work that he does on that show.
Oh, my
and he
God.
does it through 3 hours of prosthetics. Like the fact that the performance and the subtlety of emotion all comes through all of that is a gift that man possesses. And I've been buried in makeup for Buffy and Angel and many shows, and that is not an easy task. It is a form of torture in and of itself. And I asked him about it. I go, how do you do it? Like when a roll comes down and it says heavy prosthetics, like I really have to go, do I? Because I get claustrophobic. There's just a lot of things that come with it that a lot of people don't think about. But I asked him, he goes, yeah, doesn't bother me. Like that was his only answer is it just doesn't bother him. It doesn't bother him. I'm like, well, this is why he excels in it, because I know what he's gone through every time he sits in that chair and they put those big old contact lenses in his eyes. I know the torture that he's going through, and the fact that he delivers these just subtle, beautiful performances beneath it all is a testament to the actor.
And the prosthetics that he's wearing don't move that much, so he has to convey most of that just with his voice, and he does it on a level that's...
And with the turn of a chin, just the way he'll cock his head or look away from a character in a moment, just very simple gestures that convey everything.
And is it true, too, that the torture doesn't end when you get out of the chair? Like, while you're wearing the prosthetics, it's still pretty difficult to,
Well, I don't want to derail your talk of the episodes, but what does happen is your skin warms up the prosthetic, so it starts to feel, at least you get accustomed to it. Here's the reality. At 5 o'clock in the morning, you're there before everybody and they're putting cold glue on your face. And then the joke I had is they wrap your head in packing tape and then stick contacts in your eyes and fake teeth and then say, go, be free, make choices as an actor. And so if you have any, I get a little claustrophobic. We had this running joke on about monkeys because Terry Matalas always wrote in, and Deacon's eye is swollen shut, which basically means they take a piece of prosthetic and they cover your eye with it. So you can't open your eye. So you lose depth perception for a 12 to 15 hour day. And so that kind of stuff, they did the same thing to me on American Horror Story, where I had a spike coming through my eye.
Oh, yeah.
And so you wear that even when you're offset. And so I need glasses to see, so I can't wear glasses. It just, look, it's not coal mining, and it's and every respect given to Nathan, it's not, I'm not at war. I am, and they handsomely pay you to sit there with plastic on your face. So there's a boo-hoo factor to this complaint. So I recognize how absolutely fortunate and a champagne problem I'm speaking of. But at the same time, the person, Todd, gets a little squirrely underneath that stuff. And so I am amazed to see that Doug Jones has made a career out of this. Right. And I never hesitate to tell him when I have the good fortune of being in his company. We were shooting 12 Monkeys at the same time he was shooting Discovery. And so we would go to the movies and get lunch together in Toronto.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool. That's
with
so
his big
cool.
old, his head is shaved. And, but yeah, he is a hero.
Yeah, he's always so nice.
I love how when he does a character, he personifies that character. You have some people that will go into makeup and they still kind of act human, even though they're supposed to be a creature. Doug Jones becomes an entirely different creature.
Yeah.
I mean, different when he was Sabian, different when he was in Labyrinth, different when he was in was something for water.
Shape of Water.
That creature in the water.
Or the silence on Buffy.
Oh, yeah, God. The silence. Oh my God, that's a freaky episode.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, but he was really good. He was not, as Georgiou said, an AI sausage.
No. That was she was referring to Leland when she said that.
I know.
That's still funny.
Yeah.
This is AI sausage, please.
So,
and how come you guys never told me this line? This line actually made me tear up when you says, "I realize that you're my home. I'm your family."
So that's when Hugh is talking to Stamets.
Yeah, I wrote that one down. It was a good one.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
That just, I was in tears. Yep.
Yeah.
I've known you guys for years and none of you have ever said that to me.
Oh, no, we did. You were just wasted, so you don't remember.
Oh, yeah.
It was when Heather spiked your coffee with the time crystals. So.
Again. Oh, my God.
It's when I mixed it with Romulan ale, too.
But I usually say you're my homie. It's a little different.
Right.
So right in that section, right before Georgiou congratulates Leland on being a terrible human being and everyone hates him, they're talking about the wormhole and how they have to go, so fast that they get away from the enemies, but not so fast that they lose the people and all this stuff. And when they're talking about this, they're literally saying, oh man, we have to get it in that tight hole. And I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. And it's just so tight. And I'm like, really, people? Like, am I the only person where my mind like totally goes in the wrong direction? And I'm just like,
you might be.
Yeah, I might be.
Okay. I was thrown off by the precise amount of seconds they were timing everything out to be.
Yeah, 0.0004 arc seconds. Yeah.
Like the timing on this is so precision. I wasn't thinking about, the tight hole.
Well, you know what? There was some foreshadowing when Georgiou comes back on the bridge and she talks to Michael and she says she's telling her that she wanted to thank her for the report on Gant. Remember from the 2 episodes before when Spock and Michael went to the rogue Section 31 ship and Cameron Gant was there and he was part of Control. Mm-hmm. Well, when Georgiou says she wanted to thank you about putting that report in because of the nanobots, at that moment, Georgiou knows exactly how she's going to get Leland.
Yeah.
And boy, did she.
Yeah, she knew. At that moment, you can see right then and there, she knows exactly what she's going to do to get Leland and how she's going to kill him.
Oh, yeah. I love how she looked at him and she was determined to get her revenge. And she says, this is the part where you scream.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have a couple of questions. I don't remember. Does she get off Discovery?
Nobody knows.
No, she's in engineering.
So she's on Discovery when
she's on Discovery. Yeah.
So I have a second
They
question.
are supposed to have a Section 31 show. So
Yeah, there's going to be some interesting gymnastics in the writing coming up. That's for sure.
So I have another question. If Leland was the threat and then Leland died before they went through the wormhole, why did they still need to go through the wormhole?
I was thinking that too.
I thought that too.
Well, there's always a backup copy of a Control, right? I mean, it's just not in one little nanobot sitting there in the chamber. It's everywhere. Even though they say Section 31 got rid of all of it, I'm pretty sure there's a backup copy, right?
What if it's worse in the future?
Ooh.
Well, we'll find out in October, won't we?
Boy, that's true.
Yeah, I just thought of that. I'm like, wait a second, the threat has been neutralized. Why are you still leaving?
Yeah.
Well, I think weren't they like at the aperture of the wormhole when she tells them that
They were heading
been
towards
neutralized?
it, but he clearly got neutralized before they were on the other side of it or through it or anything.
Yeah, they could have stopped.
Because everybody happily watched the ship and her fly through it after he was dead.
I think that because the sphere data had integrated with Discovery was still the threat.
Ah, yes. So Discovery still had to get to the future.
Now that makes sense.
Okay.
But
now that's
the part
sense.
I was foggy about. I still don't understand what. And again, it's the complex. It's probably why I'm forgive me, more of a Star Wars guy than a Star Trek guy, because I get lost in the weeds a little bit of a lot of the intricacies of the plotting. So it was a 2-part thing. What was sphere data? And I apologize to the viewers at home.
They had,
because I'm a dum-dum.
Michael's mother, who was the Red Angel,
yes,
in her travels noticed that Control becomes a sentient AI, right, and that the reason it becomes sentient is because of this sphere that they run into at a certain point in the series, and it has the knowledge of millions and millions of years and countless civilizations, and
sure,
and so the sphere doesn't want to die, so it does whatever it can to live. So they capture all the data. The sphere transfers all its knowledge to Discovery, and Control tries to get that.
The sphere is Janet from The Good Place.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Except Janet could be, somebody would hijack Janet and make her for evil.
Got it. And so they're basically, so the sphere was protecting itself by throwing up the shields and not letting you blow it, but not because it was evil, but because it just had self-preservation, but it could be corrupted if Control had gotten a hold of it.
Yes.
Okay. Exactly. It wanted to live.
Thank you. So they were trying to get the sphere to a safer place. I don't know why the future feels like it's safer to them, but that will be the writer's job.
Yeah, we're going to find out 930 years in the future.
Well, they're supposedly going to Terra Elysium. That's supposedly where the point that Michael's trying to get them to in the future, where there's no actual technology that
good luck
the sphere can,
So it's a Battlestar situation now. They're on a quest to find a planet.
Yes.
Got it.
And the reason why they went into the future, too, is because no matter where they went in the galaxy, Control would find them. But if they went in the future...
Control was dead.
Well, that Control was dead. We don't know if there was another Control.
Good to know.
Now, however, we do know that what they did must have worked, because if you remember one of the shorts they had where the guy was on Discovery and Discovery was empty, and the computer Discovery became sentient, and it took care of this guy, danced with him and everything else, and he took a shuttlecraft to try to make it back to his family. And with the coming attractions, we see that Michael winds up teaming up with this guy. So we know that all society wasn't wiped out. Everything wasn't wiped out. To the extent of what went on, we don't know, because he had wounds because he had a battle of some sort, and Discovery nursed him back to life, or to health.
Just to make it even more condensed, so basically the sphere information merged with Discovery. Discovery jumped into the future, evolved 1,000 years, fell in love with this dude, and then that's when the dude left.
Yeah, so hopefully, so that's what's going to happen. So we'll see. And Discovery says, I don't know why everybody left me. I was told to wait until they come back.
Wow.
So we figured there's going to be a bunch of people going, and season 3 is going to probably be Michael trying to get the band back together. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be interesting.
Another great Georgiou line before she, blasts Leland into oblivion. After Leland leaves the bridge and they're trying to open the doors, and she's like, once we're done breaking and entering, would you want to join me in making Leland scream? And Non says, yum, yum.
Yum, yum.
I know. Yeah, that was funny.
Kinky bitches. Oh, my God.
They were definitely flirting back and forth.
She found a friend right there. She's like, oh, I like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like, are you sure you're not from this universe? Are you sure,
So good.
Now, you know what made me jump up and clap a little is when the Klingons showed up along with Saru, when that big son of a biscuit of a cruiser showed up, that ship.
That's cool.
It's like, whoa! And they were like, today is a good day to die.
Yeah.
I love it.
Millennium Falcon moment.
Yeah.
I've never seen a Klingon cleave ship before.
That's so cool.
That was huge.
Yeah, was that the first time we've ever seen that?
No, I think it was in the very first episode, the very first season. It was a massive ship.
Okay.
So, but then she says, wait till you see all our D4s. There's no dice. Or was it D3s? What was it?
Dots, right?
Dots.
We'll
Dot sevens?
somebody. somebody.
That's right. The dots came out of the Enterprise.
We'll get corrective email next week. I'm sure somebody will correct us next week.
And another part that I really liked too was the drinking game. Tilly in the drinking game.
Yeah.
How her drinking games involve engineering feats that she does like with her eyes closed.
Blindfolded.
So funny.
That's a fun drinking game.
So funny.
I know she couldn't do it seeing it. She had to close her eyes.
Yeah.
So good.
I love that.
Just the little grace notes. So Michelle Paradise is show running season 3. And she, I know her through the originals, and I'm very excited to see what kind of show it is with her at the helm.
Oh, it's going to be cool.
She's a talented woman.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. Here's a fun 12 Monkeys Star Trek connection. Terry Matalas, who showran and created 12 Monkeys, co-created 12 Monkeys, is now showrunning Picard.
Outstanding.
Cool. And Chris Monfett, who also was a 12 Monkeys writer, is writing on Picard.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Oh, I can't wait till next season.
I just love the crossover stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, when you get talent, and it's proven talent, everybody, wants a part of you.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. What I really loved, again, as we brought up earlier, and what also Todd brought up, I loved how everybody performed professionally. I mean, Cromwell did her duty as an admiral. You figured, non-rape, go ahead and die. No, it's even different some ways, and even in the service. And this is a true story, and it might make you laugh. They used to train us for what they call as biological attacks. So you would have to put on a gas mask and gear and everything. And then they would tell us as an NCO, in order to tell if the area is clear, you go to the lowest ranking person, you have them run in place for a couple of minutes and then have them remove their gas mask and then watch them. If they keel over and die, it's not safe for everyone to take off their mask.
Wow.
Canary does the canary?
Yeah. Yeah, you're the canary in the coal mine.
Wow. Right. So I had asked what happens, because everyone's got weapons. This is what happens if I tell the guy to do that. He takes his sidearm and he threatens to shoot me. He told me to go fuck myself. And the instructor says, well, then you promote him on the spot and find the next lowest ranking person.
Congratulations, you've made the right choice. I was going to say, this guy will do it.
This is like, okay.
You passed
that didn't
test.
happen. I mean, she sacrificed herself, and it's just...
Well, that was one of the themes of the show. At least for me, it shows that this is what the best of us can be.
Mm-hmm.
This is the best of humanity. And when we're at our best, this is the kind of things that we do for each other. There's no more hate. There's no more hate. There's no more division. It's just the best of humankind.
No, it's respect and love from one another.
That's Trek at its core, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like, even the tear moment between Spock and Michael, like, I just got you back. I don't want to let you go.
Right. And he says to her, you are my balance, Michael, always have been. And I'm afraid I will not find that again without you.
Yeah.
And to me, that was foreshadowing of
Kirk.
the Spock that we see in TOS, where he's far less human and much more Vulcan.
But then she says, find that person who is not you, basically. Find that balance. And so she's foreshadowing Kirk in such a beautiful way.
Yeah.
That's when I get choked up, because I'm like I backstroke in a warm pool of nostalgia, and I came up with original series as a little boy. And so every time, my wife will attest that the opening theme song kicks into ba ba ba, I'm like, I'm done. I can't. I'm already reaching for the Kleenex, and the show has barely begun, because that place lives in such a warm place that just even referencing Kirk and Spock relationship just makes me all warm.
It was such a beautiful way to do it. I mean, when you have grown up with the Kirk, Spock, and Bowmans, it's such a wonderful homage to that entire generation. Just that one little thing the Burnham and Spock did right there.
They know what they're doing. That Kurtzman.
Yeah. Well, there was a Dodger game. It was Star Trek Night at the Dodger game. And then after the baseball game, they had us all go down on the field, because it was 4th of July, and they did the fireworks to Star Trek theme music. I was bawling, man. I just I get goosebumps when I hear the theme music. So, it just, I totally know where you're coming from, Todd.
Yeah. I think Giacchino did such a great job of creating a new Trek theme that has that same sense of mystery and adventure and discovery, like the thirst for knowledge, that, all of them, even the Next Gen theme is fantastic.
It still kept the same feel of the original theme. So.
I love when in the credits, I mean, not to skip all the way to the end, but in the credits, they merged the melodies and brought the original.
It does set
how do you
right
not get teary-eyed?
I know, it works for me. But I'm an old person, so it may mean nothing to the youngsters out there. But
I'm actually 10 months older than you, Todd.
Are you?
Yeah, I was born in January of '68.
Oh,
yeah.
Well, so, what's the future like? What's it hold for me?
It's amazing. Funny. It's totally fabulous.
That's funny.
You're going to come through the pandemic just fine.
Oh, good. Well, we're doing all the right things. Somebody made me a West 7 quarantine mask.
Oh, cool.
So here's a question. Where is that red marker coming from at the end?
That's a mystery, because she said she was going to send a signal back to Spock to let him know that she's okay.
Well, she says when I get on the other side.
Yep.
But that was the one at the end. That one last signal.
The 7 signal. Yeah. The 124 days later, because obviously time is relative and fluid. So Michael may have sent it immediately when she got through the wormhole, but
it takes that long for that light from the future to reach the past. Because the light that we see in stars in the sky is the light that they had cast, not the light they are currently casting.
Right.
I mean, maybe they blew out the time crystal. They had to recharge it for a little bit. I don't know why it took 124 days.
But still, I just was like, if she is in the future and she created that signal, how is it reaching the past?
Well, wouldn't it be the speed of light?
Quantum entanglement. Well, if you go quantum entanglement, then it's instantaneous. But if you look on the way it is, if a ship leaves Earth and heads into space, a month may pass for that ship traveling the speed of light towards the solar system. But when it comes back, months will pass, even though it might be only a couple of weeks for the people on.
Right, because time's relative.
Right. So who knows how the relativity goes on that?
Yeah, it just was one of those hand wavy moments for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, it's Einstein's special theory of relativity then, where it talks about the relativity of time and space.
So you're traveling. So if you headed towards that red light, you're traveling to the future?
Yes.
Okay. Well, the thing is,
look, I don't need a good answer. I just need an answer.
Here's an example. So when you look up at the stars above, what you're seeing is the past, and you're seeing different versions of the past depending on how far away they are. So when they're traveling that direction, time gets a little wonky, and that's why.
Yeah, but isn't that coin upside down then? She's not casting that light from a now to a. She's casting it from the future.
I'd like to burn it down to the basic line that Spock said when he got off the elevator after he got rid of his Grizzly Adams look, which was the universe is under no obligation to make sense to me.
Well, he's quoting Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. I think maybe she just punched a 3 instead of a 4 when she was typing it in. Just a little only 124 days.
She misdialed.
I mean, her mother kicked a 900 years in the future. It was you're supposed to go what? Or when we're supposed to go? Yeah. So.
Oops, sorry. And one of the best lines at the end.
She better not break up her parents.
Right.
Oh, dear, really?
I'm sorry. One of the best lines. I interrupted you.
Oh, there's the last part was hit it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love Pike's. I mean, because, Picard has engage, which, is iconic. And Pike has now an iconic line of hit it.
And Han Solo says punch it. Everybody's got to have a cool line to engage your ship into light speed.
Exactly.
Yeah. But I also thought it really odd and obviously shrewd that they chose to end Discovery on the Enterprise.
Yes.
Yeah. I guess in a way they wanted to do Strange Worlds because that's what it's going to pick up at. I mean, Ensign Mount is another actor that I admire. He always brings a part of honor, and no matter what characters I've seen him do, like Hell on Wheels, is just he's got a really good presence about him, which I enjoy.
Pike. He's really talented.
Yeah, he really is. He is a great. I would follow. Just like with you, every time I see you on the screen, I squeal like a bath toy. Unfortunately, I think even if I was in Gotham, I probably would have fought to be one of your guys you hired. So, it's just not many actors out there that has that ability to do that.
You're very kind. Thank you.
So, but as we get ready to end up the show here, I do have a question for you, Todd.
Yeah.
What do you got coming up? Well, I know we have fans listening. So what's on your agenda? What can people look forward to see?
Whatever productions start casting and shooting when the pandemic ends.
Okay, so you have nothing that you have a definite time frame.
I think it actually already aired. I did do a couple episodes of LA's Finest that may have aired. I did currently, I have a talking dog movie that is, I am the voice of the dog called Think Like a Dog. And that is, you can, that's on demand or you can download it from iTunes, I believe. I'm currently in a movie called The Way Back with Ben Affleck. And then I have a film that just came out, just got picked up by Saban, a romantic comedy called Love, Weddings, and Other Disasters. And it's Jeremy Irons and Diane Keaton and a bunch of wonderful people.
Cast.
Wow. Yeah. And that was shot by Dennis Dugan, who did a lot of the Adam Sandler films. It's very funny. It's very sweet. And it's got a very big cast. And I have a really fun role in it. I play a Russian mobster. And what else? And 12 Monkeys currently streaming on Hulu.
And what about your comic book?
And you can read my comic book if you go to devilinsidecomic.com. I also am working on a little fun thing, a little business venture that I'll be bringing to the public, hopefully sooner than later, sort of celebrating my nerddom and sharing that with people. And I'm writing a couple of projects. I'm writing a video game and I'm working with Skydance Interactive on a project as well. So during the pandemic, I'm doing a lot of writing and a lot of D&D and a lot of developing, and I'm creating some stuff that I'll be able to talk about hopefully shortly.
At one point, there was talk about you writing Suicide Squad 2, was it?
Well, I was writing Suicide Squad 2 for a year. I was writing one of the versions when Gavin O'Connor was directing it. I was co-writing that with him. And then DC just decided to go with James Gunn because he's James Gunn. And he was available. So James wrote his own script and is doing his own film. So, gotcha. But yeah, I spent a year living in the DC world, writing a Suicide Squad movie, which was really a lot of fun, and I learned a ton, and I'm really proud of it. But it's not the one that's going to be hitting the theaters.
Bummer.
Okay.
That's okay.
Now. Okay. Okay. I'm sorry. Okay.
Was Section 31 in your quarters again?
No, it's that I have paint water.
He drank the paint water. That's acrylic paint. I would not. Yeah, I would put that away.
I have a glow in the dark tongue. Thank you very much.
There might be a number we can call. Poison control. Hello,
Ghostbusters.
I don't know. I get acrylic paint on me all the time.
I got to go get to EMH and see what he can do. Todd, it was a profound pleasure to have you on.
Oh, that's so kind.
We would love to have you back, and if you will have us be able to bring you back, we'd love to have you.
Please, this is a pleasure. It's you guys have always been so kind to me and my family when I've had the good fortune of running into you guys at conventions, and super supportive of my work and me online. And I like talking about the same things you guys like talking about. So this is a pleasure to get to chat with fine folks about things I love.
And I could tell everybody this so they can be jealous and gnash their teeth. I have autographed copies of Devil Inside. So worship me. Worship me.
Captain, I see a bunch of tribbles rolling down the hallway with exactly what you're talking about on their back. They just stole it.
We're going to have to get going here. Thank you, everybody, for listening. We'll make sure we bring you back to the exact time you left, Todd, so nobody will miss you. That same spot over by the tree in your backyard, right?
That's fair. Yeah, that'll work.
All right, so we're going to bring you there. Thank you, everybody, for listening. Next week, we're going to be reviewing the Lower Decks. We're going to go episode 1 and episode 2. So we're going to do it on both. So if you already watched it, you're going to hear our critique next week as well as the second episode. If you haven't watched Lower Decks yet, don't forget to search, because there is a after show with Will who talks about it. You have to search for it though. CBS All Access.
He only does one episode though.
Only one episode, but
I just found it on YouTube. It was really easy to find on YouTube. I couldn't figure out where to find it on the CBS app. I don't know what they're doing.
In the CBS Access, what you do is you go to Lower Decks decks, and there's a section called Extra. If you go to that Extra section and scroll down, it's right there.
Okay.
So everybody, make
Good
sure you come back and listen to us. If you want to find out how to get a hold of us, the end of this tagline will have all of our social media. You'll be able to send us a wave, listen to us on iTunes, listen to us on SoundCloud, listen to us on YouTube. Also on YouTube, we have a premiere of the show that you can actually join us for a live chat. Sometimes it's out Sunday or Monday. We like mixing it around to keep you guys on your toes. So thank you very, very much. And remember, just don't have a great week. Make it so.
Starfleet Underground, beaming into a podcast feed near you. Log on to our website at starfleetunderground.com and send your comments and questions to thecollective@starfleetunderground.com. Follow us on Twitter at StarfleetUnderG and on Facebook and Instagram, we're Starfleet Underground.